The Proud Family is back, and I'm just gonna make this a whole series review because honestly, I have a lot of thoughts now that this is the final season of the reboot, Louder and Prouder, and I just want to review this reboot as a whole now that we've had 4 seasons to live with it. I think this show is disappointing, but I still liked it. Let me explain. I know so many people that thought this show was going to be good, and they were also excited for the possibility of bringing in a whole wave of Disney Plus animated show reboots, and we just have not seen that. The only show we've seen come back is Phineas and Ferb. I believe they're working on a Kim Possible Darkwing Duck one, but that's just kind of been nowhere to be seen in the meantime. I think the Kim Possible one, it was announced for a little bit, but I don't know if that's still happening. I think something like that. And I think the Proud Family coming back. I mean, a lot of people thought it was a good idea because this is the one of the most famous black centric animated shows ever made. That's why they were able to get so many guest stars in this show, and it seemed like it was kind of cool. And there was beautiful. The animation of the show is great. The voice acting is great. I just think where this show stumbled is a lot of the same ways where the original series stumbled, where, but in also in new ways that are kind of disastrous. Um, the original show, I had seen episodes before. It used to air on TV when I was younger, but I didn't really remember it, so a lot of it was just reruns that would air. The thing about the Proud Family is like it's a weird show because the characters in that show um, would be going through like slice of life adventures, and then you get a weird episode where like Penny's little siblings turn into babies, or not babies, adults, right? Because they're toddlers. They age up magically, and then there's like a wish involved. Like it's kind of like they'd have like weird supernatural episodes. Like if you watch the Proud Family movie, they got this weird like Peanut Island dude. And who's trying to make peanut people. It's like what they do weird stuff like that, and I think sometimes episodes like that could have been fun, but it was also just so weird as a juxtaposition of like, hey, we're gonna do a cartoony, silly episode, and then we're gonna do a slice of life episode, and all of it can be fun, but it just felt like, okay, that's weird. Here in this show, it's worse because this show tries to deal with a lot of very real political issues, and also its animation style doesn't really uh, give itself over to the more cartoony, like silly side of the show. Like what I mean by that is, like this show is beautifully animated and looks beautiful. So when they do a weird episode where Penny's younger brother gets out and there's this weird like group of like weird mascots kidnapping and hypnotizing kids or some shit, I'm like, what the fuck? It's just weird. And so I don't know. I just feel like that's one problem with this show. The political issues are another side of this show. I actually think that sometimes they handle some of these episodes well enough. Like there's the episode where you meet one of the new characters in the shows. Um, you meet her two dads, and the way they explain how everyone feels about that revelation felt like, you know, that's a smart and kind of clever way to, I guess, use that to explore that a little bit. I think where the rest of the show fails is like the Abraham Lincoln episode that's kind of become famous in conservative circles, at least when it came out. But like I got what they were saying, but it was like that's a little heavy-handed and not really well executed. There's a lot of weird stuff like that. There's a lot of new modern terms of dialogue that it felt like maybe the creators used but didn't fully understand. Like things like that I just don't feel like fully worked. Um, and by the way, I'm not saying that I agree with those conservative circles about the Abraham Lincoln episode. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I don't like how the episode was written and how the message came across. Is all. And because of that, like there was a lot of these political episodes, and a lot of them just some of them worked, 90% of them did not. The also these celebrities in this show. There's some episodes where the celebrities actually played a decent character, and then there's other episodes like where they made a whole episode around them and made a whole song, and it wasn't very good, and I didn't really like a lot of that stuff. I will say, Disney did cancel this show. I'm assuming what happened here is that they had already greenlit a fourth season into the production of this show, and so they'd already greenlit it. So like, yeah, you can make your last season, but we're gonna cancel you after. And I think a lot of it probably has to do with the fact that like Trump administration and people are back in office, because of the fact that for one, 4 seasons of this run is a good run. So I'm not saying it, it wouldn't have ended anyways, but I think they probably looked at it and said, all right, this show is getting a lot of controversy in conservative circles, and they're angry, and Disney is trying to kind of clean up the clutter of certain things. I noticed this season doesn't really have the political episodes like the last couple seasons, and the one of the characters that they created to kind of aid in some of those political episodes, one of the new characters that was all over the first 3 seasons of the show, is kind of a background character this season. Things like that. So that's kind of where you're watching this show and you kind of see everything going on with it. And personally, I think that the show was disappointed in just being I don't know. I just think that this show really need to iron itself out a little bit more what it wanted to do. And I do think it's unfortunate that the show's over, but at the same time, 4 seasons, about 40 episodes of a reboot to a show that was already pretty long lasting show. I mean, it wasn't like the most long lasting show, I guess, but it ran for a few seasons. Like, it had its time. It was a good show, and so I enjoyed this reboot. Would I recommend it if you're a Proud Family fan? Yes, but I could also understand if you were disappointed and didn't really care for the show as a Proud Family fan. But I found enough to enjoy in it, and there's episodes that stand out to me. Honestly, though, I need to do a rewatch of the whole series because the first episode of this fourth season is resolution to the cliffhanger of season 3, and I totally forgot about that, and I didn't even remember that when I started the episode, and I was like, crap, I guess I should have watched season 3 again, but I chose not to. So, sort of thing. But here we are.